one of the absolutely rare videos, unique and rare videos, because it's nearly winter, and I decided to take a ride on a scooter. And in this video I wanted to share about the last channeled information about the human genetics. And actually, to make this video a little bit more interesting, I will turn the camera around so that you can see the road like this, right? I just love the nature outside. I just love the nature to watch, especially on a sunny day, and ride with bikes or scooters, whatever. It's a really, really nice thing to do. So hopefully you will see everything as I'm seeing. Maybe it will be a little bit blurry. Oh, it is so blurry. Right? Okay, it's shaking. Okay, I'll drive slowly. So we were channeling information about human DNA, and we were looking to this information because well, it was just out of curiosity about the humans themselves, about the genetical structure itself. I'm not a medic, I don't know anything about it, but all I can share is this information about what we received in channeling. And before actually we start, there are some people watching here. Please write if the audio quality is okay, because obviously I'm driving and the microphone is maybe in the wind or maybe not too perfectly fitted. But the thing is, which I want to share about this topic was that how did we start actually to get this information? At the beginning, we were interested in the actual. I actually forgot what were we interested in. The human history. My father was asking me questions about. He said in the beginning of the channeling to this being, he said that he wants to ask questions about genetics because he is interested in how did we the human was made, because he heard somewhere that humans were basically biological robots created for some reason or something. And then there a being came and he was sharing his information, and he said that, well, the history is not so precise as we know it to be, because there are so many events that were ongoing, and many dramatical changes in which the earth went through also were ongoing. So it's not that actually there is a one history, it's that there has been several scenarios that the earth has went through millions of years. But he said there was human genetics like we have that were primarily designed to be like robots, like let's say like dummies, don't understand anything, don't just like robots follow orders, like we would now create a robot. That was the information. And he said that there was this time when when this planet was inhabited by some beings, like I didn't understand, like in the movies, human type horses, like people with cat faces, like people who have like qualities of people who have qualities of animals. And that was a long time ago, really long time ago. And what they were telling us is that then there was not the moon. The moon wasn't present there, and these let's say human type animals that were living there were let's say pretty much territorial, pretty much well, also you would say like animals in in nature. They have their own territory, they have their own rights, they have their own place. Everything is like splitted in the animal world. They were much more isolated from each other than being connected like global with each other. And then there was like another race, a galactical race that arrived to the planet, but these local inhabitants were rejecting them and were pushing them away. So this other like alien type of a race, they decided, let's take a human, let's make a human that is, let's say, has arisen from your own planet, and let's just infiltrate this human planet, this like animal planet, human animal planet, with a new species that is called human. And what I understood is that they decided that there are some humans already living there, and they will create a copy of it, but that will look like that it's for their own kind. And then they infiltrated these dummies, these robots. And then when these robots were more and more and more, they started to. It's some question. They started to. Wait. When they infiltrated these human-type robots, they started to dig their own rules, and eventually these humans, these genetics that were made as humans, they started to war with each other. These humans started to war against the population that was already there, the animal type of human type of beings that were already there, and the war was really raging. And why the aliens wanted to do this is because they needed resources. I didn't understand whether it was gold or it was something to do with the resources that were present at the planet at that time. So, and the thing that happened there was that these inhabitants started to war pretty badly started to war with each other. And wait, I'll pass this driver. Okay, so they started to war with each other, and the war was going on pretty badly, and different races started to come in. Different races started to invade this territory as well. And then they said, the information was there that basically well, you have to listen to the story to understand the continuum of the genetics. And then what they said was that our the war was going on pretty badly. It was pretty badly. He said that cities were wiped down under the ground, that polar shifts that also happened later on, that some cities went underwater. It was a pretty bad war. And then it's maybe the second time when I hear this name. It's called the Grey Federation, the Grey Alien Federation invaded this war. And the information was that they interrupted this war because they were more interested in. So the information was that if people are doing harm to each other on this planet, that's fine. If people are hurting each other, that's okay. But if people are doing harm to the planet, then that's pretty bad. And so it's not allowed to, like, beings or inhabitants to actually destroy the planet. When that's about to happen, different galactical members intervade this territory to make balance into the society, or on this planet, you would say. So, and what happened then was, from this information, what then happened was that the Great Federation intervened and delivered the moon. And the moon is an orbital station from which everything is controlled. And then all mess was cleaned up. The wars were stopped. Everything was stopped then. And what happened was what happened was later. Oh, wow. What later happened was they said that the information said that it's not easy to actually create a new genetical species for a different planet. It takes a long time. But the easiest thing what you can do is take the genetical material that is left over and let's say just readjust it. Let's say I don't know, you have to listen to the story further. And the information that they told was that there were, like, I understood thousands, maybe years, maybe a little more, or maybe around it, but it took many years while the Grey Federation didn't do anything here from the moon. And I understood why the Grey Federation, because they have this energy or capability. It's a huge alliance. They have this energy and capability of you cannot say anything against them. They have this potential, they have this like stability, they have this confirmation and understanding. You cannot say anything against them. It's like how they tell, it's how it will be. And what happened then was that this federation came here, established their own control, like a neutral zone or something, and they said, the information said that like for thousands of years, or so to speak, they didn't touch anything on this planet. They allowed the planet to recover itself, to come back on track for itself. And then what happened was that what I saw in the visions was that slowly after all these disasters, some birds, maybe some animals came back to life. Trees, nature restored itself from time to time, after time and time, a little time, let's say every year a little. And then what happened was they decided to not create a new genetical material, but they decided to use one of the genetical materials. And what I understood is that if you want to, let's say, create a new species for a different planet, it's actually very difficult. It takes lots of years to adjust, to recreate. For a simple person to understand would be, imagine people were to travel to the moon. No oxygen, no gravity, cosmical radiance, no atmosphere, nothing. And there are, because of the gravity, maybe no water, maybe some water, maybe no food, maybe different food. It's for the genetical material that we are here, who we are. It's nearly impossible even to take a grasp. How can you live without air? You need so many different things. So talking about the genetical material on the Earth, humans are really strongly adjusted. They are like tuned, adjusted, and us ourselves, we are really let's say from time to time evolutionally, genetically adapted to the situation. And then came the most beautiful information about the genetical qualities, right? Maybe you can write a comment, is everything okay, if the sound is okay. So they needed, so what happened later on was, alright, I'll pass this place. So what happened afterwards, now we will talk about the genetical part itself. They said that human DNA is made that you can actually recreate from a single DNA. And what I saw was this spiral, which is many times also illustrated when talking to DNA, that you can actually recreate human genetical, the whole civilization, just from this single DNA structure. So that's what they were starting to talk and sharing this information, and I was like curious now, how is it possible? And the information started to talk about how the DNA is structured itself. They told that basically the DNA has the spiral, and within this spiral there is like these small dots which are perfectly aligned accordingly to each other, these particles or these dots or this sphere-like matter. For me in English it's really difficult to pronounce or to describe these things. So let's say that between the DNA spirals there are some perfectly aligned spheres like balls, small balls, and the spiral has layers, one layer and then another layer and then another layer, and the spiral goes up. The more layers there are, the more, let's say, the more layers there are, the more genetical history the material has. And they said, well, basically, by knowing this, you can actually recreate the whole civilization from the beginning of time. They said it's not that necessary, but you can do this. You just take the spiral, this DNA spiral, and they said that this spiral exists in multiple places of the organism. We'll talk about this a little later. But you can take this spiral, and there are several layers, and each layer is an update to the genetical material. So basically, you can take down this genetical material. You can take down these layers or take off these layers. Let's say one layer, as understood, one layer is this genetical chassis incarnation. So let's say your family tree is maybe thousands of people behind. So you would have, let's say, 1,000 genetical layers you would have. And they said how these layers are created. It's because, for example, when you in your life learn something, when you in your life learn the method, how it is more easier for you to survive. For example, you in your life learn that by being a taxi driver, or by being or a doctor, or by being like maybe who builds the houses, like there on the right side, maybe I will show you, construction worker or something, have learned to survive, and you survive, and you said to yourself, okay, I'm doing pretty well in this life actually. Then what happens is this consciousness itself, the human body consciousness itself, the computer, the human itself, the DNA creates another layer which consists of those qualities that you have learned. So what it means is that when you will have children, and you have, let's say, said to yourself or understood yourself that, let's say, you are a good taxi driver, that most likely these qualities will create a new genetical layer, will create a new genetical layer, and this genetical layer will be passed to your kids as a updated DNA structure. And this genetical layer not only updates your, let's say, brain setup, but also your health information. It's a new layer that in this lifetime your, let's say, body computer has updated and passed to the next genetical body. And when they looked at me, the beings told me, well, this person, we can tell easily that he has had, not me as a soul, but as a genetical body, he has had genetical family members earlier that were drivers and plane pilots. And what I saw in visions and what I understood is that my grandfather, my grand-grandfather, they were in war, and they have survived only by being, like, let's say, weapon truck driver. And my other father was fathers was he made planes and was a pilot, and that was also okay. And then they looked at my father, which was sitting next to me. He said, "Well, you don't have these genetical qualities. You came more from, like, let's say, more from your mother, or something like this." And what then I saw was that, and they said, "How can you recreate a civilization member, let's say, from DNA structure? You can tear down these layers, and then there are like incubation zones." When understood, this one of these incubation zones is well, when a female gets pregnant, there is some kind of a egg or something inside in which the DNA starts to grow. And they said, but basically you have this empty egg, let's call it. I don't know how it's in English called, and you just inject this DNA that's like from like a hair, like for example your hair or something that consists of the DNA structure. And then what happens is this egg starts to grow and shape and allows this DNA structure to grow out, and thus then a recreated civilization member will be created, like let's say like your father's body will be recreated. But what they said is that basically it's actually no point, because that DNA structure, that DNA structure has lived out and is not all, isn't anymore relative, or isn't anymore adjusted to the times we have right now here. And what they were talking about was that that humans on this planet are one of the rare species on this planet. What I mean by rare species is that phone is charging up. What I mean by rare species is that humans are on this planet have the ability to adjust their DNA structure, to adjust their learnings that they have made, their educations that they have made. And what it means is that from time to time humans update themselves. Like whenever you have done something that succeeded in your life, you will update your DNA manually. It will be updated, and it will be adjusted to the DNA structure. So let's say body language, and let's say characteristics, appearances, everything of that nature, knowledge itself, or intuition, instincts itself, are adjusted to this DNA structure. Wait, there's a traffic jam right here. So, and what happens then is not all species have this natural ability. I think this video will end because it's charging really out. Wait, I'll put charger. I'll have charger somewhere here. So, what will happen, and what happens is that many animals don't have these abilities. Some animals, or most animals, are created to be on pure instincts. They're created to have just pure instincts. But humans, however, on the other hand, always constantly update and adjust to the situations that are present at this moment. Let's say we have a new society, we have technologies, we have let's say different educations, so to speak, and humans constantly adjust, and create something more, create something new, and adjust to it as